Welcome to Exploring AI Frontiers with Coastal 7. At Coastal 7, we are building teams in the AI and ML space, specifically on generative AI and edge AI. We specialize in building agentic AI ecosystems, autonomous, goal driven AI agents that don't just assist but actively act, learn, and optimize your workflows in real time. So, as we help organizations undergo full scale AI led digital transformation, we would like to inform you that we are a company that's based out of US and we are running successfully. We have recently launched our Coastal 7's AI Readiness Index along with a toolkit with 50 free AI tools. You can take the free assessment on the website and check your AI readiness for the organizations. So today in the webinar, we are thrilled to have Olga Troeger, founder and CEO of AIQ Europe, to our webinar, which is navigating AI adoption responsibly while balancing innovation with impact. With over 18 years of experience in operational excellence, including a long tenure at eBay, she now leads AIQ Europe, a Berlin based firm pioneering AI readiness assessments and responsible AI frameworks through their proprietary AIQ score. Olga is a recognized voice in the AI space, and she brings a unique blend of strategic insight, regulatory understanding, and a deep commitment to ethical and human centered AI adoption. Happy to have you here with us, Olga, today. And
Thank
now I'd like to introduce our next guest, Nagaraju Kancherla, who is Coastal 7 seasoned engineering leader with over 20 to 25 years of experience. He has and he is known for building and scaling high performance teams across the globe. He has grown engineering functions from MVP stage to full scale operations. So, welcoming both the speakers and experts for the day, and I hand over the session to Nagraj to continue.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you so much, Tejashwini, for the kind introduction and a warm welcome to everyone joining us today. It's a pleasure to be here as part of this insightful session where we will explore responsible and ethical AI adoption. We are excited to have Olga Troeger with us. She brings deep insights and practical experience to this conversation. Thanks again for being here, Olga. Without further ado, let's dive into our topic. Okay, so Olga, you built an impressive career at the intersection of operational excellence, strategic management, and digital transformation. So, what inspired you to focus on responsible and ethical AI adoption?
Yeah, so thank you, Raj, for the invitation. And this is one of my favorite questions because my focus on responsible and ethical AI is a natural extension of my experience in continuous process improvement and tech enabled innovation. So, particularly during my time at eBay, I was an expert in operational excellence, and I've always believed that people must remain at the heart of technological improvements, especially if we're talking about the business context. I experienced it myself many times while working in different projects that had to do with tech innovation and transformation, how challenging it always was to make the right choice and find the right balance between business needs for innovation and how far to go in terms of complying with regulations, but also in terms of the decisions that we made and the consequences that it had for the workforce and the customers. And I see technology, as especially AI, as not something that we should be competing with, but something we must collaborate with. And because after all, I think we are technological beings ourselves. And when we apply intelligence intelligently, and that's our motto and something we at AIQ Europe strongly stand for, I believe we unlock the potential to solve some of humanity's most biggest challenges. So choosing ethical AI was a conscious decision. It's about using technology to do good and balancing, of course, innovation with compliance, as I said before, human rights and environmental responsibility. And that's, for me, the balance. It's just not only strategic, but it's a moral imperative for the future that we want to build all together. I think you're muted.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah, that's a great thing. That resonates with our Coastal Sevens vision as well. Technology for purpose. Thank you for bringing that point. So, as a founder of and COO of an AIQ Europe organization, so could you share the defining moment that shaped this vision?
Yeah, sure. So first of all, I believe, as many thought leaders do, that technology itself, it's neutral, and it's how we choose to design, to deploy it, and use it what determines its impact. And that's especially true for AI. So every creator has a choice to use it for good or to risk causing harm. And for me, the defining moment came when me and my co-founders just first envisioned AIQ Europe, and before we even wrote a business plan, we agreed on one non-negotiable principle, and that was we would never create or deploy AI systems that could cause harm. So our mission, our vision was clear from day one. We would do AI for good, and what that meant was we want to put ethics at the center, inclusion and humanity, while we of course create the best cutting edge technology. And this vision shaped our entire foundation, meaning that we even create a list of industries and clients that we would not work with, because if their values wouldn't align to ours, then no amount of innovation would justify that we collaborate. And that value agreement or that value alignment reinforces our position that responsibility comes before opportunity, which is exactly what makes us like trustworthy and I think visionary in that sense.
Well, I mean, thank you so much for sharing this one. With this, right now, let's discuss a little bit about our main essence, like AIQ score,
Yes.
right? So, so you have developed AIQ score as a framework to assess a readiness for organizations. So, could you give us an overview of what the AIQ score is and how it helps organizations measuring their AI maturity? So,
Yes, sure. So the AIQ score, as you just mentioned it, is our company's unique framework that we developed internally, and that evaluates organizations' AI readiness across multiple dimensions. Um, and why we did this? Because many companies invest in AI without clarity on why they are doing it. Maybe it's because just the hype, or because everyone's doing it, but there's no clarity around it. Also, because many companies don't know if the problem they want to solve is the right problem to solve at the right time, and how this fits into their long-term goals, also in regards to their company culture and their AI strategy. And I say AI strategy really as something very important that I barely see, because many companies tend to forget that this is now an essential piece of their overall strategy. So with the AI score, we are assessing the strategy alignment, the cultural readiness, the ethics and landscape, also the tech capabilities, and the commercial opportunities, because this is not to neglect that we encourage and empower companies to measure the ROI of their initiative beforehand, because yeah, you're not in mid. And so that's how we guide responsible, impactful AI adoption, because this score provides a 360-degree view of AI maturity, and that enables companies to design their systems with ethical foresight that includes and fosters inclusivity and accountability. They can deploy them with confidence, transparency, and explainability, which are really two things that are crucial and very important right now. And they can adopt the systems that they created in a way that empowers people while protecting human rights.
Awesome. Oh,
Yeah, and maybe just important to mention is that this AIQ score delivers a roadmap so that we can actually help companies understand how they can approach the journey, because it's a journey, it's not a one and off.
okay. Awesome. Yeah. So, coming to this AIQ score, could you walk us through the use case or industry-specific example of how the AIQ score has helped an organization streamline their AI implementation process?
Yeah, of course. So one of our clients actually implemented a GenAI solution straight out of the box, expecting really quick wins, and because everyone was doing it. But as it is often the case, one size doesn't fit all. And of course, the result was low employee engagement, customer dissatisfaction, and a significant investment loss. So the core issue when they came to us and we looked at what happened was basically a lack of preparation, also in regards to the ROI expected, because there was not an assessment made before. The clear purpose was not there. It was like mandatory. We have to implement, so we do it. And there was no alignment with the strategy. And although employees were involved, there was no evaluation of readiness and understanding of the data, which is a huge point, data literacy, because that is the basis of critical thinking and critical engagement with the information that AI outputs. So there was no capacity built into the company to challenge the system's outputs. When we stepped in to reverse engineer what had been done, we created a new process and developed a tailored AI roadmap that included, of course, clear KPIs. We had governance and ethical guardrails. We helped align the strategy with what was expected. Also, there was a targeted AI literacy training, and that was including also leadership. And what this approach made was, it turned out the product around ensuring that AI systems not only work technically, but that made sense strategically, ethically, and also commercially.
Wow, awesome. That's very interesting use case. Yeah. But as we said, rightly said, many companies struggle balance between innovation and the ROI results, right? Compliance, whatever. So how does this AIQ score helps leaders navigate the challenge without limiting innovation? Because we have to go to the speed at the same time. We don't want to compromise on a couple of things, right? So can you shed some light on that?
Sure. So this is a real and very valid struggle, and many leaders like myself, because we produce ourselves AI products, we ask ourselves how far can we go with AI, and how far should we go to be able to comply with regulations over technological innovation, and what happens with our decisions, as I mentioned at the beginning, with our customers and our employees. So to me, innovation and compliance are not opposites, they're partners. And I say this because to me, true innovation is responsible innovation, and compliance isn't a barrier. we see it as a framework that protects our fundamental rights and our societal values, whatever that means to every society. And what we did with AIQ when we built this product was precisely help organizations navigate that balance, because it starts with a crucial step, which is understanding the AI maturity, so that we can assess your current state in terms of data, processes, culture, strategy, and identifying what's needed to move forward responsibly. And making sense. And I think that technology is evolving very rapidly, and as it does, so do regulations and ethical risks. And this score adapts dynamically to the environment of the companies, and it provides leaders with a benchmark of where they stand. And they get a roadmap for strategic AI adoption that helps them, as I said before, maximize their ROI without creating harm. And it's like training a muscle. You can always keep increasing and improving your AIQ score. So it's the starting point, and you can get better, and better. And most importantly, what AIQ score does is to help build AI literacy and human oversight at every phase, because we empower those managers that have to take decisions over large investments to understand the trade-offs and engage critically with the technology, and ensure that there's accountability when things don't go as they were planned. And I think our job as leaders is to ensure that AI is designed and deployed and adopted with intention, so with a purpose and integrity, so we can scale innovation without sacrificing responsibility.
Oh, awesome. It sounds like my coach, AIQ sounds like my coach in the gym. So, yeah. Yeah. Now, you brought this interesting point. Now, I want to know your views on AI governance, because that's most important, regulations and compliance. So, from your perspective, why is responsible AI a strategic imperative for business today?
Yeah, and I think I'll go a step back before I answer that question. I would like to define what responsible AI means to me, because people tend to think regulations and ethics is just huge, complicated, and they would stop innovation. So they prefer to look at the ethical problems afterwards when something went wrong. But to me, responsible AI is not a fixed set of rules. It's more like a continuous process of aligning the technological innovation with the society's goals and with our democratic values. And it also refers to the development and the deployment and the use of these AI systems in ways that are ethical, that are transparent, that are fair, and ensuring that there's respect, that there's privacy, that we don't want to cause more bias and discrimination, that whatever we build is transparent and explainable, and that there's accountability across the life cycle. So I think that, as I mentioned, as technologies evolve, it's crucial to have consistent and structured processes in place, and that's this framework, because this not only feeds the data into systems, but also monitors and manages their outcome continuously. And it helps as well when there's a governance in place to ensure that challenges are identified and resolved early, so preserving the integrity and the trustworthiness and effectiveness of AI solutions and of the company. Of course, this can have huge implications if it's not the case. Exactly, and I think if these standards are not upheld, then organizations risk amplifying existing inefficiencies, injustice, and yeah, which, as I said, it can result in very high financial costs, loss of credibility, and setbacks in innovation.
Yeah, yeah. As you mentioned, right? It's AI is emerging, and it's many for many companies, right? It's a governance and compliance is a daunting for many organizations. So, how does your team simplify these processes and help business build a robust governance frameworks, whatever for the company required?
Yeah, so yeah, I fully understand why this seemed to be daunting. And as I said, a responsible AI governance program is not a one and done effort. It's needs to be clarity there that it's a journey and that it requires on constant effort, ongoing dedication to build processes and practices that will evolve and improve over time. So to make this program operational, we begin by developing a clear goal-oriented AI strategy that is fully aligned with the organization's mission, vision, and values framework. Because if this strategy, as technology evolves rapidly, this strategy will serve as a flexible but steady compass that can guide the AI related decision making and help prioritize initiatives to deliver real business and value and societal value. So we help as well with creating a transparent and thorough inventory of all processes, tools, and AI projects to make a robust governance framework. We also look at cross-functional AI, creating a cross-functional AI ethics committee that includes stakeholders from all the business, so legal, compliance, IT, any departments that are that have to do with this new technology in the organization, because we think responsible AI, it's a team sport. It's not something that
Sure.
comes top down. It's something that should matter to everyone. And what we emphasize as well is the importance of assessing AI readiness, so that this adoption of AI technologies is anchored in a broader strategic objective, whether that means increasing, enhancing customer experience, or reducing costs, or improving operational efficiency. And then there's a very important point, and that's one of our three pillars of as a company. We evaluate AI literacy across all teams. As new tools are introduced, we have established clear policies, guidelines, training programs, so that employees understand how to use AI responsibly and effectively in their day-to-day roles. Because we've noticed, and we're not the only ones, if people don't relate to the tool that's been given to them and how it makes sense for their day-to-day work, then they will not use it, independently of if it's AI or not. So that empowers actually teams to fully leverage AI and support the ethical and the compliant use. And I think doing this, we help organizations as well create a routine, a process to stay ahead of the evolving AI regulatory landscape. That it looks like a patchwork right now. And we ensure that the governance frameworks are agile, that are compliant, and or above all, that they are future-proof. So yeah, as the focus on AI and data and data intensifies, our role really is to help clients to embed all this accountability and transparency and trust into every stage of their AI journey.
Oh, awesome. So coming back to the AI regulation landscape, that's my current present interest now. So from your global experience, so what are the key differences in AI regulations between North America, Canada, APAC regions, or maybe European Union, maybe that business leaders should be aware of when scaling AI solutions?
Yeah, so as I said, it's looks like a patchwork. So companies around the world are being subject now to a series of regulations and standards for the use of AI, as you said, not only nationally but internationally. And the key difference between those regulations lie in the interpretation of the different governments of what this regulatory frameworks should do. So, for example, if we take fairness, that might mean something very different in the US than in Canada or China or in the EU. And governments have very different views on what an ethical AI regulation should accomplish. So if we take the example of the US, the regulation in the US is often pro-innovation and therefore reactive, as what you would call innovation first, regulate later approach. And the regulation frameworks are pretty fragmented. And the biggest risk here that I see is that there's a lack of cohesive federal legislation that might lead to a inconsistent enforcement across the states, across the industries. So there's a lot of work here for businesses that have to maintain a closer attention to the evolving state level and the sector-specific guidelines, especially for high-risk areas like finance, like health and employment. Canada is more balanced. They have a very strong focus on human rights and privacy and responsible innovation, and they align very much with the EU's vision of regulation that's very human-centered. Yeah, so they're proposed. They have the ADA, the Artificial Intelligence and Data Act, that introduces as well risk-based obligations for high impact AI systems, pretty similar to the EU AI Act regulation. And to focus on APAC, it's difficult because it's huge, but just in a couple of words. So there are different approaches, from very strong state-driven national AI governance control in China, focused on national security, social stability, and ethical conformity, to the collective rules, going to really market-friendly and innovation-driven voluntary AI governance in Singapore. And there's a gradual and collaborative integrating ethics by design in Japan and Korea.
Yeah.
And maybe just to finish with this, I would just recommend that leaders must adopt a regionally adaptive AI governance strategy that aligns not only with the local, with the global standards, but also with the local expectations. Because as I said, there's no one size fits all in terms of AI regulation. Because in a world where fairness, transparency, and ethics mean different things, because of different political, cultural, and societal contexts, we need to be closer to what the regulations, how they advance.
Yeah, that's why our leadership at Coastal 7, they call global leadership. It's like be a global but localized version of it. So, yeah, I don't want to be so controversial. Let me get back to the next one, very specific to this one. When it comes to the European Union AI Act, right, what key elements should companies prioritize to ensure they stay compliant with the while still driving innovation?
Yeah, so the EU AI Act is a risk-based regulatory framework that basically ensures that there is a safe, trustworthy, and human-centric AI without stopping or harming innovation. At the moment, there's a lot of discussion about how to stay compliant while maintaining momentum, creating AI systems. And what it's what I'd recommend companies should focus on is just understanding the risk classification of their AI systems, because the Act categorizes AI systems into 4 different levels. Then implementing robust risk and quality management systems with data governance, technical documentation, human oversight, accuracy, and cybersecurity. Establishing an AI governance structure. So no wonder why we're talking about this here. And it's very important to set up a cross-functional AI governance team or steering committee with representation from many departments, including legal, technical, risk specialists, and ethics specialists, and business leaders, of course. I would also recommend to build explainable AI capabilities, because documenting and ensuring the decision logic is very important, because this is going to be auditable. So for high-risk systems, transparency and explainability are critical. So a company must be able to show how their AI reaches its conclusions and make this information available to regulators and to affected users. And basically, only 2 other points. So monitor and adapt to the regulatory updates that I mentioned before, why, and promote AI literacy and change adoption with employees, because AI literacy in the EU is not an option right now. It's a part of the compliance of the Act since February 5th. So it's an obligation to comply with this and make sure that all teams know how to use AI and understand their risks and their benefits.
Well, so coming to this one, right? Though governance, everything in place, right? But in your experience, what are some most common pitfalls companies face when implementing AI solutions, and how they can proactively avoid them? I know you mentioned continuous monitoring, there are guardrails, everything, but I want to know your perspectives on that.
Yeah, sure. So yeah, I always go back to the most common pitfall, which is underestimating the organizational readiness for AI. So mostly companies just rush into implementing AI without assessing if whether their people, their processes, and infrastructure is truly prepared. So yeah, as this is a journey and not a one-time project, it has to be embedded in a whole bigger strategy. And success to me depends on understanding both the technical maturity of the organization, but also the strategic relevance of the AI initiative. So that's why we created the AIQ score, to help leaders in that journey. Another major pitfall is ignoring the ethical risks. And I say this because companies that don't have a clear ethical framework can unintentionally deploy systems that discriminate, that invade privacy, or otherwise harm stakeholders. And this could lead to serious legal, reputational, and financial consequences, and also create more inequality and injustice in the society because of the exacerbation of the biases embedded. Excuse me. And then additionally, as I mentioned, the change management and the workforce adoption for these AI initiatives is really important. AI literacy is not optional. And I mean, failing to do it creates resistance, poor adoption, and missed opportunities of value creation. So building AI literacy is one of the most underestimated success factors in AI transformation. Yet when it's done right, it can be truly transformative and anchored in the company culture.
Okay, yeah, that's great discussion on governance, regulations, and policies. Now, as you mentioned, literacy part. So now let's talk about the human side of responsible AI. It could be literacy, inclusion, and the role of education in shaping the responsible and ethical AI. So, how do your AI literacy workshops equip non-technical, employees to engage confidently with AI in their roles?
Yeah. So our from the beginning, our AI literacy workshops were always designed to bring everyone into the journey, individuals, young people, students, CEOs, especially non-technical individuals, and that's still the case. So because we tend to forget, we that are in the technology space and that create the technology, that we are just a small part of the whole equation out there, and that the rest of the majority of the people don't really understand what this technology is exactly about and what's at stake. So if we want to really create a critical thinking society and approach to this AI systems and products, then we need to create that literacy muscles, and then that's why we have created tailored workshops, and we create tailored workshops every time depending on what's needed. So employees have different needs than management requirements. Of course, because the level of knowledge needs to be different. Different level of decisions need to be made.
Okay. Can you share on this aspect an example where building AI literacy within an organization had a transformative effect on their AI adoption or project outcomes, whatever? Then, yeah.
Yeah, sure. So while researching also about this topic, I read something about a global financial institution that was struggling to get buy-in from its risk and compliance teams for a new AI-based fraud detection system. There was a very deep sentiment of skepticism about these black box models and fears about what would happen in terms of regulations. So, what they did to make things happen was to launch a cross department literacy initiative, and included tailored workshops, role specific training, and collaborative sessions with the data science team. So, I think it's, as I said before, this is a sports team. Creating this understanding across an organization requires the effort of everyone. And what this did was that these regulatory and legal teams in this bank, in this global financial institution, they really became champions of the project instead of blockers. And the project adoption accelerated by 8 months, and reduced all the false positives by 30%, meeting the internal audit standards for transparency.
Yeah. This is one more thing, a challenge I've seen in organization. People may, this is the AI is emerging, so the technical understanding varies, widely across teams, right? So, what strategies you recommend for encouraging inclusive AI learning across diverse teams?
Yeah, so to build truly inclusive AI capacity, it is essential to recognize that AI is just not a technical issue. It's a business, it's an ethical and societal issue. And that inclusive learning must be tailored, accessible, and empowering across roles and expertise levels. So, for example, there are some best practices that I can share, like when you do those workshops, you can segment the AI literacy courses by role, by function, so that people better relate the content to what's relevant for their daily context. That avoids also technical overload. Yeah, you can actually what we say as well is we don't use jargon, and that's very true, because plain language and real life scenarios create empathy driven understanding, especially for non-technical teams, because people see that as a huge thing, and they already have an apprehension against what's all this technical stuff, but creating plain language and real life scenarios really help. Also, fostering a cross-functional dialogue between the tech teams and the non-tech employees, learning labs, breaking silos. Most companies work in silos, so they don't know what the others do. But the AI is a cross-functional implementation in a company. So everyone needs to be involved: marketing, operations, every role.
Every knowledge workers, they involve now. That's great. Yeah, thank you so much, for shedding light on this AA education, AA literacy. Last but not the least, right? Now we wanted to see no future, right? So that's very important. So looking ahead, what trends, do you see shaping the future of responsible AI adoption? Mention three practical steps that organizations can take to ensure their adoption is both innovative and responsible.
Yeah, so I think there's a couple of things coming. I hope so, let's say. And I think we will pass from voluntary ethics to binding regulations. So there will be no longer the option to opt into responsible AI. This will be a compliance and ethics strategy differentiator, not just a legal requirement. What I see is that global AI governance will still be fragmented. So, as I said, we need to adapt with new ways of understanding how local and global work in terms of regulation and frameworks. And there will be AI transparency, I think, as a core business metric. And then responsible leadership in regards to AI will be extremely important because organizations are realizing that the AI readiness is equal to a cultural readiness. So companies will increasingly invest in AI literacy, in ethical training, and in roles like we see it right now: chief AI ethics officer. And
Emerging roles, yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
And one very important thing not to neglect, and I think that will be the case. It's I think that accountability will move up the chain, so that executives and boards will be also held accountable for AI harms. So not only the people that code this, because we are in the responsibility of asking what we're putting out there, if it causes harm, if it's understandable, if it's explainable, if it's increasing biases and inequality and injustice.
Awesome. Yeah, that's true. At least, chief ethical officer, you can also train them too. So, yeah, Thank you so much, Olga, for sharing your insights on right from AI readiness to the AI governance and to AI education and literacy. So your perspectives are incredibly valuable. Thank you so much once again. With this, now I will hand it over to Tejashwini to wrap things up.
Yeah. Hi. So there are a few questions, Olga, from some of our users, and I'm displaying one by one on screen, and I'll read it out. So the first question is, how can organizations strike the right balance between adopting AI quickly and ensuring that it's done responsibly and ethically?
Yeah, so that goes back again to the point of measuring the AI readiness, because we need to define what quickly is within the complete AI and company strategy. And it might be that going quickly doesn't necessarily mean implementing across the board. It might mean implementing where the readiness is more mature in a specific department for a specific problem.
Right. Thank you for that answer. The second question is, what should companies focus on to make sure that their AI use follows rules and stays safe while still being innovative?
Yeah, so as I mentioned before, it's not only a matter of embedding, let's say, ethical guardrails in the code, right? It's also about what framework, what governance is created around. So that there is accountability for when things go wrong, that there's always human oversight, that technology, when left unsupervised, can go crazy, right? We've all heard about hallucinations. So it's really important that there is always a human in the loop element in this. And yeah, creating an ethical AI statement, I think that's really important, because that's how the company goes public and explains how they will handle and use AI responsibly, and what their relationship with AI will be. So maintaining all that structure present, alive, and developed. As I said, I come from the continuous process improvement arena, right? I've been doing this 18 years or longer, actually 25. And I think this is a continuous process. So we are learning on the go. We don't know all the answers right now, but I think if we can create like anchors and make sure that we have the basic pillars in place, we can make sure that innovation is not being stopped, but that we have the real guardrails to support a responsible and an ethical AI implementation.
Right. So human in the loop is the key takeaway from that, irrespective of however AI adoption, however ubiquitous it is. So the next question is, why is AI literacy important for teams, and how can companies start building it across their organization? What happens if organizations ignore it?
Yeah, so AI literacy is a must for everyone, not only for companies. I think you and me and everyone should learn how to interact critically with AI and AI products, understand how it works, how data is collected, what the data output is. And I know this could be daunting, because knowing, like when we talk about AI literacy, it is coming from where the data is pulled out to build that AI, right? And that that means that people mostly should know what, they're data literate, right? But not all of the people are data literate. So that's the first thing. And then if you go back a bit, it's also about the processes that are embedded in the company, the KPI. So all this data goes into the systems that are going to be created. And if people don't understand where this data is coming from, and that means literate, how this is making sense or not making sense, and they cannot challenge when things go wrong. They won't understand that something is not working as planned. It's like, if I am a doctor, but I don't know how to use the scanner to see if the heart is going to have a heart attack or not, then pointless giving me that, right? I
Yeah.
think that's the same thing. And if we don't take care of making sure that our teams understand what's the benefit of it and how they can use it for their daily job, then we miss the investment, right? Because they wouldn't profit to use it to improve the customer experience or to reduce costs or to do whatever you were intended to do with that technology. So missing that point is also harmful.
Right. Thank you. Thank you for that answer. The last question that we'll take is with AI literacy still evolving and ethical standards constantly shifting, can AI readiness index ever be more than just a snapshot in a moving landscape? And how do we ensure that it measures responsibility and not just the capabilities?
Can you read the question again? Because it's really long. I need to think about it again.
The question is about
Yes.
can AI readiness be more than just a snapshot of AI capabilities? Can it
Yeah.
go beyond measuring capabilities and go into responsibility?
Yes, I think that's what it's intended when you measure AI readiness. It's basically just not measuring in a snapshot. As I said, it's building the muscle for the future. So it adapts. It's dynamic in the sense that as the technology evolves and all the paradigms evolve, we are posed. We know we're facing different ethical challenges as well, and the regulation needs to adapt to what's happening. But the technology innovation is outpacing regulation right now. So I understand this as to be, as I said, a constant process, right? So we cannot say this is one and done and we're ready. This is our score and this is our measuring our capabilities. It's more when we say how we measure our responsibility. It's about how we ensure that whatever we put inside, that we do algorithmic impact assessments, for example, that before we put something out, it doesn't matter if we have done it 10 times or 20 or 30, we should always keep controlling the same things or more, evolving the frameworks that we have created. The processes might change, so we need to maintain and keep up the pace. This is something very different than what we had before, because every morning you wake up and there's something different. So yeah.
Yeah. So thank you so much for patiently answering those questions from the users. And as we conclude today's session, a heartfelt thanks to our esteemed speakers, Olga and Raj, for taking the time to have this wonderful session. Olga, your insights on responsible AI adoption, governance, and human-centered ethical foresight offered a very powerful perspective on how organizations can lead with both impact and intention. And Raj, your practical experience in building scalable AI engineering teams, as well as delivering real world agentic AI solutions, added the depth and clarity for today's conversation. At Coastal 7, we believe in building a future where AI is not just intelligent, but intentional, as Olga said. So, today's discussion, I believe, was a step forward in that direction. And we hope it left all of you with fresh ideas, actionable strategies, and a renewed sense of purpose in your AI journey. Thank you so much to all the attendees who've joined us today, and stay tuned for more such sessions as we continue to explore AI frontiers with Coastal 7. Until next time, thank you. Thanks again.
Thanks all. Thank you so much.
Everyone, thank you.
Thank you. Take care.